Hello everybody. It has been quite a while since I did my last elevator parts tour, so let's go ahead and do another one. Now, not a whole lot has changed since the last one, but I have gotten a few more items and I've changed some things around, so I think it's time for another tour. So as always, a huge shout out to everybody who has contributed to this parts collection. A special shout out goes to Andrew, as always. He has been the one that has helped provide a lot of different parts for me to make videos on for the Thursday part videos. So a huge thank you to Andrew for everything you have done for this channel. Now on that note, let's go ahead and get started with the tour. So you might notice there are some things that have kind of leaked out of the main display area, and there's actually one more item that has kind of leaked out, and that one's over here. This here is one of the more recent items that I acquired. This is an Otis autotronic lobby panel, and this is the biggest piece I have. And next to the Dover Impulse, this is the biggest piece. It is definitely a lot deeper and a lot heavier, but I have completely wired this panel to make it fully working. So inside this panel here, there is this control, and this is the main power. So let's go ahead and power it on. And you'll see here everything turns on. And once this thing's booted up, this is ready to go and all the power is on. So first off, down here, there's all the key switches and these lights. These key switches don't do anything. This is the mode select, and turning the key around lights up the different modes. Next is the analog clock, and to power that on, there's this black toggle switch. Just hit that and the clock comes on. And you can see the clock is fully working. Up here is the controls for the simulator part. I can manually enter a car to go to a floor, so we're going to send car 1 to floor 5. You can see that one goes up. Car 2 to 8, car 3 to 10, and car 4 to 7. And you can see here that all of the cars are moving to the corresponding floor. And on the screen, it tells you the car number and the destination. Another feature, we can hit all cars. So I'm gonna send all of the cars to floor 7. And you can see all of them are currently moving. And then there's also the randomizer. If I turn on the randomizer, it will randomly send the cars to different floors. So you can just kind of let it set back and do its own thing. This was definitely the most advanced project I've ever done to this day, and you should definitely check out the project video for this. Moving on over here, we have this US analog indicator, and the switch just turns it on. That's all it does. Looks cool though. Up here in the shelf here, this is just kind of a bunch of my other stuff, but this is actually the very first elevator part I ever got. I bought this on eBay years ago and stuck it in this plastic enclosure. And then I bought one of these things. This isn't even an elevator part, but that's the very first elevator part that I ever got, and it just kind of sits in there. Over here we have my Dover Impulse car panel, and you'll notice here that the one light is on, and that's because this is a simulator as well. So I can choose a floor, and the elevator will go up to the floor. Back down to 1, and it can also hold multiple calls. And turning on the light switch key turns on the, oh, well, only one of the emergency lights. Apparently the other one broke. I'll have to look into that. Down here we have this never used Monitor call station. And somebody from Monitor actually reached out to me and see if I was interested in these. And I said, yeah. So this has 4 CE indicators on the top, and then obviously the 2 buttons. I think at one point it would be cool to put my CE microcom in here and get these things running, but that's a project for another day. And down there's just an innovation lantern and some Midwest elevator cups. And moving on past the main display over to the side, we've got a few of the items that have to be plugged in. So first here we have my long elevator panel from Keener Plaza West, elevator 4. And this thing's really cool. So I can push the floor buttons and you'll see they light up. So each one has the LED, but pushing the floor button changes the indicator to the corresponding floor, all the way up to 8. And then I also have it, because you see here if I push the S, instead of it showing S, it shows 1. So if I take the independent service key and turn that on and then press S, you'll see it displays, well, what looks to be a 5. That's what I think S should be, but that's when you hit 5, you see that, and you hit that, it says S. Then the alarm button rings an alarm. That's actually the fire service buzzer. And then the fire service light comes on. And of course there's the phone. Here's a long chime and position indicator. So it has the funny chime. I put it in this little box and made this little panel on the top. Here's a GAL bell that I built this little mount for. It has that just kind of funny ring to it. And right behind that is an Otis black button panel with a 13th floor. This thing's pretty cool. I'm actually going to be giving this one to the elevator museum, and in return I'll be getting a smaller black button panel. But this thing is still really cool, and it's going to be chilling out here in my collection for a few more months. The buttons don't really do a whole lot except for the up and the down. The up lights up the up, and the down lights up the down. And I think that looks really nice. Now moving inside here, we'll start over here on the right. This is my Otis Series 1 car panel. Just like before, it's exactly in the same condition, no new parts for it. Still missing a bunch of parts. Hopefully one day I'll be able to completely finish this panel and make it into a little simulator. And back here is kind of the extra stuff. I've got a few prints back here. Got a set of guts for a touch panel and some circuit boards. Here's this cool alarm bell. It's currently not hooked up. And over here is a very narrow Adams car panel. Got these up and down buttons, the floor buttons, and the alarm lights up. Over here is an Otis elevator service cabinet. And this was actually the service cabinet to the same elevator that this touch panel came from, which we'll look at later. You can open it up with the key. And inside there's these lights, the non-stop, start, the attendant, car switch, up and down. This would be the fan. There's a light. There's the generator start stop, light switch, little phone jack, and the inspection key. And then up here, I've got a few lanterns. These are just kind of mounted to a wooden frame. Over here is my innovation car panel. And at some point I'd like to put an indicator in there, but it has no indicator at the moment. Floor buttons light up. And the alarm rings an alarm bell. And the alarm bell is hiding in here in the phone cabinet. There it is. And also turning on the fire service lights up the fire hat. Down here is a quite large EPCO call button. Kind of an interesting design on it. And then down here is a Westinghouse PI. And if I reach to the back and I hit this switch, you'll see that it comes to life. And I can use this little remote control to control the indicator. So if I want to make it go up to, let's say, floor 4, I can hit 4, and you'll see here that it goes up to 4. So it's in the up direction, so if I make it go down to 3, so it's in the down direction, see the down light comes on. And if I make it go up to, let's say, 6, so we're going in the up direction, but it's going to switch directions at 6. So this thing's really cool, and I put a lot of work into this and it came out really nice. Up here is a bunch of various items, relays, gate switches, circuit boards, interlocks, you name it. This is kind of the miscellaneous stuff. Back here is a Dominion GAL call panel. It's got an analog indicator, which I might make that into do something at some point. It's got fire service up here. And then over here is the Otis touch panel, the same panel from that. It right now does not run, but I've got the guts over there, and I've got a special adapter that I'll be using to make this run at some point. And down here is a Dover Impulse call button from the Texas State Capitol. This is actually really a unique piece. Over here is just a basic Adams call button. And over here is a Dover call station. It's a surface mount, but it's got this interesting lamp on the top. Still need to wire this up. Then up here, got a few various labels. Got this escalator sign, an Otis globe, some Peely safety stickers, a couple of little key rings, a Montgomery relay, a few other things, C.J. Anderson notebook, and Kone out of service. And up here, this is my Armor rotodial call station, and I'm just awaiting one more part for this thing, and this thing will be fully working, so there'll be a video on that hopefully soon. Over here is this really cool Otis black button car top station that I restored up, and it looks really nice now. And up here is a couple of fire signs. There's another one in the corner. And over here is my Schindler-Houghton PI. There's a switch on the side that turns it on. And you can use the exact same remote control as all the other stuff to control this one. So the floor range is from L to 99 because it's a 2-digit display. So we'll just, for the sake of this, We'll go up to 10. So if I hit 1, 0, you'll see that flashes to let you know it received the input. And I can hit this, and you'll see it goes to 10. And I've made it really fast because, you know, who wants to sit and wait for it? So we'll try again. Let's see here. We'll go up to 50. So there's 50. And you'll see here, up it goes. And it's at 50. Then you can make it return back to the lobby, but we're not going to do that for time's sake. Moving up here, we have the bell board. And this is a project I did a while back where I took 5 of my elevator bells and mounted them to board. Made this little panel for it, and each one works. So the first one is a Houghton bell. Next is the Westinghouse. Next is Otis. Another Westinghouse bell. And finally, an Adams bell. Also got a few other bells chilling out down here. This one sounds exactly the same as the Houghton. That's actually an Otis. And that's another Otis bell. And this one sounds a little bit different. I'll go ahead and ring this one. So that one sounds nice as well. So this here is a C.J. Anderson car top panel. And it's got your standard car top controls. However, we will come back to this later on in the video because this does something, and those of you who've been following me a while know exactly what this does. Next, I've got a couple of fire service keys here for phase 1. So this is an innovation one, and this one is Montgomery. And this one has a really satisfying key switch. And then on the first shelf, got this old call button plate, just the plate. This thing's really cool looking. Got a C.J. Anderson call button, a Dover pit switch, and then a whole bunch of different labels. And also while we're over here, a Schindler van and a firefighter's operation sign. So back on this side, got the ThyssenKrupp safety ambassador button. This is just a MAD call station replacement. It's a Westinghouse vandal resistant call station. Got 3 Schindler HTs. So this one lights up red. This one lights up green, and this one doesn't light up at all. This one has the original circuit board on it. And both of these fire service lights do something. So this one lights up the light, and this one lights up this little red light right there. Here's a Schindler RT, Westinghouse or whatever. It's just Adams buttons. And then this key switch turns on both of the lights. Here's an Otis call station with the more satisfying clicky buttons. Got 2 older Otis buttons here. Here's a terminal and an intermediate. And up here is my custom 3D printed STL elevator call station. Then over here is an EPCO Baxter & Sons car panel, and this was one of the first fixtures I ever wired. So the wiring job on this is it's not the greatest. Next is a MAD call station. With a MAD chime. Here's a very interesting Electrodyne call button. And this doesn't actually push like a traditional button. You just apply pressure on the button and it lights up. Or here's a GAL call station. Complete with a chime. Here's a really awesome C.J. Anderson car panel from an old manual, constant pressure. Here is a Dominion GAL call station. This is one of those kind of vanity special looking buttons where the whole thing lights up. Over here is a really cool dumbwaiter call button. And I need to clean those contacts, they're a little dirty, but here's an Armor VR call station. Here's a PTL fire service panel. And putting the key in, turns on the fire hat. Here's a really cool long elevator car top. And right next to it is another long button. This is the more standard kind of square buttons that look like innovation, but these are as well monitor. Here's an Otis black button dumbwaiter panel. Each of the buttons light up the in-use light. Next over here is an Alderson GAL call button. This thing is really cool because it has this key switch that is used to specifically call car B. Over here is a very interesting looking Adams call button. And then down here in the corner, which probably should come out of hiding, but this is a very alarming button, if you know what I mean. Up here is my 3D printed freight elevator car panel. This thing's kind of funny, but very tiny buttons and 10,000 pound capacity. Here's one of the California Fire buttons, an innovation sales sample, and a Dover car top station with the really big switch. Now, something kind of interesting about this car top, if I flip this switch on and push one of the buttons, there's an Otis chime hiding behind it. And up here is my GAL lantern, which used to be over there, and it used to be hooked up to these little lantern buttons. However, I moved it and I haven't wired it yet. So the lantern buttons are here, and there's just empty wires hanging out. So I'll have to wire that at some point. And there's also a long elevator tag stuck up here. So moving up the side shelves here, have this armor call station, this ICO. This was actually a GAL call button, but I didn't have a GAL button. I only had an arrow heart, so I put an arrow heart button in it. There's an innovation call button. Here is a Montgomery Vector call station, a modern Otis, Schindler, and another Schindler. Over here is my old Schindler and escalator switch. So this here is a very satisfying lift button, some R series, and a vintage white Schindler here, white button. And then the escalator switch from a Westinghouse escalator. There's an Otis magnet, a Schindler logo, out of service sticker. Then on this shelf, got this EPCO call station, an Adams button, but this is a shoe button, not just a regular call button, so it's a special button. Another EPCO call station, hot and triangle, and innovation, universal, and the fire service light works as well. And finally on the very top shelf are a few lanterns. And then back down to this shelf, we've got a Dover shelf. But first we have these long and Kone, it's just one Kone, but the rest are long safety tags. There's a little Otis cover. There's the remote control. There's a Dover traditional button, kind of a fancy arrow. There's another traditional button. Impulse. Complete with a chime. And we even have an old impulse. And a black button Dover. Don't use the elevator sign. GAL black button. Westinghouse triangle. Westinghouse black button. Monitor. This is actually a long VR, so monitor. ThyssenKrupp. Schindler MT, Old General, US Square, and Otis Series 1. And then C.J. Anderson stickers and some brails. Moving on up here, we've got this kind of custom-made Montgomery A Series fire panel. So there's the door buttons, open and close, call cancel, and then the key switches turn on the emergency operation light. Both of the key switches do that. Next I have a Westinghouse, C.J. Anderson, old Arrow Heart, Montgomery car top, Otis Touch, currently not wired up. I mean, it's ready to go. I just got to put power to it and then it'll be ready to light up. Here we have 3 different Otis black button call stations with the roto dial. These all came from the same elevator system, but each one is a little bit different. So this one's the more replacement. We've got the bigger plates, the more modern buttons, and then the bigger indicator. Here is the terminal. So this has the bigger black button and the newer contacts. And this is the intermediate with the older contacts and the older buttons. And I can go ahead and spin this roto dial. So you can see this came from 13th floor. And you might recognize that has the very same floor layout as that. Here we have an Adams call button, Houghton, Adams replacement touch, even made them light up orange. It's a Montgomery A Series. This one still has a low battery. I think this thing's had a low battery for almost a year now. Probably should change that. Here is a very shiny fire service panel with this excessively large key switch, and it's very stiff to turn. Here we have a really cool old Westinghouse call button with a rotodial. I have to 3D print another button. This is what the button looks like, and there's the rotodial. And I can actually turn this, and it goes up to 8. But the numbers go higher than that, so I just have to take the little stopper out. There's an old Dover call button, more EPCO. Otis black button, US circle, and this little thing, which really should be in my fire alarms. It's a test station. And then up here we got this really big Westinghouse logo, Montgomery Midwest elevator, and the reflex. And this here is my US digital indicator, and if you might remember from earlier in the video, this panel actually is hooked up to that indicator. So if I hit this switch here, you see here it turns on. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut the lights off so we can see it a little bit better. So I can manually control it with these switches. So this switch turns on the up, the red switch turns on the down, and pushing the up or down buttons will increment or decrement the floor. So this can go all the way up to 9, and it will go all the way down to 0. I can also hit the run button and use the remote control to make it go somewhere. So let's make it go to 6. If I input 6, you can see here, it simulates going up to 6. And then up here at the very top, we have some more lanterns and PIs. So there is there's a Westinghouse, got an Otis, a Kone, another Otis, Houghton, Otis, Dover, Dover. There's also a Dover PI up there, and then a long PI here. And this one actually is a simulator, but this one's not hooked up to a remote control, so this one just turns on and simply just goes up and down. That's all it does. So you turn it on and it just goes up to 8 and then back down to S. I could easily implement a remote control feature into this, and I probably will at some point. So that is going to conclude today's parts tour. Hope you enjoyed taking a look around this place yet again. If you want to see some of the videos that I have made on some of these different parts, so you can see the projects and how I actually got some of these to be where they are today, there is a link in the description of the video that links you to my website, where I have all the different parts organized by type or brand, and at the very bottom of the page there is a link to all of the other part tours if you want to see what this thing looked like a few years ago. So again, thank you to everyone who has contributed items to this collection. Thank you for watching the video, and we'll see you guys next time.